Hello, Sabrina. You're looking very nice
You're
this evening.
rather dashing yourself, Mr. Dennis. I felt like I had to say Mr. Dennis.
Oh,
with
thank you.
the blazer and the hat. Yeah.
I'm loving the hair.
Thank
Yo,
you.
can we get a camera zoom up on the hair, please?
Yes.
You know.
I mean, I don't know who I came as before, but we just gotta sort out the.
Yeah, so today's
This way.
episode, we're talking about the shade room. We're talking about when people show you who they are, believe them. You better believe them.
You
How do you
said
feel about that title?
the shade room alone. I mean, that conjures up ideas of just drama.
Now we're going to talk about it, man, because this is the Business Truth
Yeah.
edition, and this is just something that I think is so important, because if someone's just starting in business or on the journey of business, they may feel like they're on their own. Like, one of the statements and the thoughts that just come immediately to my mind is like, not everyone's going to clap for you, because they're going to be surprised that you actually made it.
Or pay attention to those who aren't clapping.
Mm.
Everyone else is clapping. Pay attention to the ones that are sitting there not.
Have you ever walked into a room, Sabrina, and you just feel all of a sudden side eyes and daggers?
On too many occasions to count, which is a shame. Really, really. I don't know where to go with this, because I feel like we could really.
Yeah, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. We might go down the rabbit hole, but so what? Because this is Business Truths.
Yeah.
But at the end of this episode, I really do want to leave with encouragement and hope, because I think when we think about some of the things that we've been through and the shade that we've experienced, it truly is God who has brought us through. And there was many scriptures, many thoughts that was coming into my mind as I was thinking about this episode. But one that just jumps out to me is, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but to lose his own soul? When you think about this episode, is there anything that just jumps out to you and just starts to help you anchor yourself, or what you've had to use during shady times?
I've had to use the fact that God sent me to do this work. And so that's the only reason why I'm still here, because based on how people have treated me and you over this past few years, if I was going in myself, in and of myself, would have left this thing a long time ago, got a job in Starbucks and made coffee for people.
So let me take you back. So I think 2022 was a phenomenal year for us in terms of elevation and exposure. So in the
That's
background,
the word.
elevation,
Exposure.
and sometimes you cannot fathom. Like, you think it's an amazing day, it's an amazing moment when you actually start to win awards and you're getting recognized, and you post your awards announcements, and we haven't, to be honest, announced that many contracts that we've won. But
I don't think we've really announced any.
Yeah, we announced some through Legacy Consultants.
Yeah, but
not loads.
not like that.
But then all of a sudden, like, you're in the community, you're in the barbershop, and all of a sudden the conversation.
I have been to get my hair done since my hair is fresh. I can use it as an example. I have been to get my hair done, and I have literally been told there have been people talking about you in here. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I won't even go there with the level of conversation, but when you don't even like realize how much what you're doing is making an impact. Like, to be honest, I'm doing the work from my perspective to make a difference in people's lives. I'm not really looking for accolades and awards and things like that. It's beautiful and it's lovely and amazing to win them. And it's nice also for the team who probably don't necessarily get the recognition because people can't always see them.
Yeah.
But then what comes with that?
Yeah, I remember I walked into a specific location. I won't reveal the location because I'm going to expose the person. But I remember someone looked me dead in the face and says, "Nathan, why have you won an award? And what about me?" And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
And I had to like educate this individual to say, do you know that I've actually been doing this work and been in business since 2005, before there was social media?
Before there was...
And people was like,
anything.
oh. And I says, yeah. It's like 15 years later, we've won some awards, but we've been doing this work for over 10, 15 years. And it's like, the person was like, oh, I didn't realize. And the thing I wanted to kind of like bring out, like, what has been probably have you ever walked into a room and felt the daggers?
There was let's pick a room. There was one that stands out to me where I remember going into the room and it's a collective meeting of lots of different people in our sector. And I can remember going and sitting at a table, and it was like, join a table because you're going to have table discussions. And I can remember thinking, which table should I join? Because everyone's looking at me like, don't join my table. So I just sat down, and the huff and the puff and it just became like the Arctic on that table, cold. People just having, not saying anything, but it's the fact that you're not saying anything that it's so loud. I can feel the energy that you're giving off. Like, all I've done is sit down at the table.
I remember on countless occasions going to networking events with you, and people who we know, we've grown up with, walk straight past us.
Yeah.
And you say hello and they barely can reply back.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, you start going through your mind thinking, huh?
Have I done something?
Have I done something to you? Like,
and you do it, you kind of smash back, like you go in the filing cabinet. Wait, did I miss something? Did I not respond to something?
And it really threw me, because then I've seen the same individuals at the same events running after what you could call London celebrities, or the people in the room that they felt could help them, and the dishonor of like people who they knew, I thought was quite strange.
Yeah.
How do you feel about stuff like that when that's happened, Bob?
I'm going to try not to cry because it makes me feel really emotional.
Why is that?
Because it's horrible. Like, people have been horrible. Like, we don't ask for anything. Actually, don't ask for anything from anyone. We're just getting on with it. And yet the spitefulness, the backbiting, the chatty, I think they say, there's people coming around talking, and it's just, it demotivates you, because I'm just going to say it. There might be their family members, their kids or their children that we're working with. You know, we've lived and supported some people's family members, and yet that's how you choose to respond to us. And we will never turn them away. I will never not support a young person or an adult in a situation. Like, we'll always help them as much as we can. But then we've had people openly tell us, we have told people not to support your thing, to our face. And you're like, why would you do that? You know, like, it's only now when I track back and I think about all of those situations and those examples, I think, goodness me, it is the grace of God why we are still here doing this. And it is because it's purpose, it's not profit or pounds that we're chasing. That's the only reason, because people, our community.
Sabrina, I've read a quote that says, success doesn't reveal who you are, it reveals everyone else. What do you think of that?
I think it's absolutely bang on. I think success, whatever, and we haven't got all day, but we have to look at what people think ascribe success to be. So people might see you winning awards, getting contracts, being here, there, and then going on holiday. God forbid you go on holiday, because that really means you've made it. You know, you can go away and leave your team to do stuff. Then I think what it does is sometimes it can trigger people to show them what they have not achieved. And I don't want to say jealousy, because I don't think it's that. I think it's more than that. I think it's more deep rooted in that. How did they do that? How have they got there? There must be something else. There must be something that they've done that isn't.
So why do you think, like, because I feel that I have, and I believe I'm not imagining this.
Go on.
But I genuinely believe that I've felt people switch soon as the success started to come.
Yeah.
And I really want to go back to, I remember actually when we was able to go back 15 years later and do just me and you holiday to Barbados. And I remember being on the beach with you, and it felt like a dream had come true. Like, we had to work so hard to be able to go on this trip, just the two of us, go back to the very place we had our honeymoon. And I remember being on the beach, and I was thinking, wow, everything is still running, the team's still running, team are getting paid, work's still being delivered, and we're away from the office. But I felt immediately when we got back, things had changed.
Yeah, things had changed immediately.
And I feel like I thought to myself, maybe I shouldn't have posted when we was on the catamaran having a good time. Or maybe I shouldn't have posted the blue sea. But at the same time, I was just so happy and feeling so blessed to be able to do this. But sometimes you post things or you announce things, but you don't realize that can cause something in someone and trigger people.
Yeah, it does.
What's your thoughts about that?
I think it does cause things it does trigger people in one way or another. Sometimes people want to be able to do that and they can't. Other people would say this. They would say they would rather they eat lobster while you eat tuna. So they cannot stand to see you succeed. You must eat tuna while I eat lobster.
No, there's a one I think I've seen on the gram where it says something like, people are happy with you doing okay.
Oh,
but that's not better than them.
Don't be better than them. You eat the tuna, mate, not lobster. Because that's what they want. They don't want to. Some people, I mean, I want to sweep everybody under the same thing, but some people don't want to see you win, full stop. And that's why, when we're talking about having people around you, you've got to have people around you that will lift you higher, where you're not a threat to them. Like, they don't care whether it's winning or losing. Like, they just want to see you win. They'll celebrate your success.
And that's why I think sometimes you really do have to switch up your network. And if you're in a room where you're the leader or you're the most successful in the room, I don't think you're in the right room from that perspective.
So would you say then, Nathan, based on our discussion here in the shade room, that we have a crabs in the barrel type of mentality, or that we've experienced that?
Yeah, I think that, people are trying to pull you back in with their comments, with their accusations. I do think that does happen. The thought that I was thinking about was that, like, everything is not competition. Like, I remember distinctly when we first done our first podcast, we put a lot of prayer and fast into it because we kind of didn't want to put ourselves out there.
Yeah.
But we really felt that God was saying to us, as a Black British couple, it's important to tell your story and tell your journey. We haven't made it. We're on a journey and we're still, like, growing. And I remember just having that anxiety, thinking, I just don't want to say certain things. I don't want to talk about certain things. But we're in a much more, we're kind of like, we've got nothing to lose. It's like, we are who we are. You either like us, we don't really actually care because we're building for the audience of one. Like, our mindset's completely switched now, which I thank God. But there's been times where it's like, it feels like people are in competition and we're just genuinely just posting our natural life, posting some of the work that we're doing. And then, like, 5 minutes later, you see someone else posting the exact same post that you've done, and you're thinking,
we had that. That happened. I remember that.
Social media ping pong, and you're like, what is going on? Like, please, people, get real. And just sometimes people just not clapping. Does that make sense? Not being able to celebrate, not being able to share, not being able to just, like, really, clap your hands. I think, when we speak, and it's important for our global listeners to understand that we speak with, like, a multiple of lens. So we have a limited company, and a business and consultancy. We also run a charity, and then we have ourselves as a brand that's become a business. Okay, I think it's important to try and differentiate because I never forget being in a highly wealthy room, and we done some research before going to that room, and from a charity perspective, we looked on all of our donations and income and had realized that basically only 2% of any income that we'd ever raised in our in our charity had come from the Black community. And we are primarily serving the Black community. And I think that statistical position is very telling and damning, that actually the hard evidence is that our regular givers, supporters of the charity, are not Black people, which is sometimes quite hard to swallow that truth.
It's definitely from that lens. Hard when you also go into that room and try to encourage people to support it, and they actively send you somewhere else.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's a bit wild. So we're talking about success and people not necessarily clapping for us, etc. But how do you define success?
I'm so grateful that you've asked this question, because can I be honest with you?
Please do.
For years have not felt successful, and that's because my vision and how I see myself for the future is so big that I see myself as having the ability to be a 7-8 figure entrepreneur, social entrepreneur. Yeah, I see myself being able to have 50 to 100 staff. Yeah, I see myself being able to have assets where we have a fleet of vehicles, we have offices in different locations. So for me, I don't even feel like I've scratched the surface. But what I've had to do is really take time out to stop and reflect and think, actually, you're not where you used to be. You've come from council estates, inner city Birmingham, none of which is your current reality. Yeah. And the fact that we are able to, we're not at this present moment, but been running 2 vehicles from our household.
Yeah.
The fact that our house is owned, the fact that we are able to travel, you have to start to realize that actually, in terms of social mobility and moving on, we're not where we used to be, and you have to give God thanks. And I've really had to, like, in my mindset, like, really say, actually, yeah, there's been some good things, but then I've had to look at it from the lens of other people who may not be able to travel, who may not have transportation, who may not have been able to purchase a home, and realize that actually, to some, that is successful, or even just being married and happily married as success, rearing our children. And it's something that I really struggled with, because based on my trajectory for myself, didn't feel like I'm just like in the zone doing what I need to do. But then I had to realize that actually, you know what, start to celebrate yourself. And the truth of the matter is, when that happened, it happened in therapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So wait, let's just pause there before you go on. Let's just stop and look at that. You said something quite powerful, that you only realized there was success when you went to therapy. So while you was in therapy, if you don't mind me asking, and I know we're in the truth talking about business, when it came to those people that probably didn't celebrate your successes, were you able to deal with that in therapy, or?
No, because that's not what I went to therapy for.
Okay.
I think it's important just to, because I've mentioned it, might be
Yeah.
worth just saying. So obviously, while leading and running a business, the most hardest time of my life was losing my nan and grandma within the same week, which really affected me emotionally, mentally. I just couldn't focus, I couldn't be creative, all that type of stuff. And I remember in one particular session with my therapist, and I was saying to the therapist, yeah, hi, my name's Nathan. I'm a business owner. I'm a founder trustee of a charity. I've just launched another brand with my wife called Nathan and Sabrina. I'm a father of 4 children. I've been married for, I think in the therapy session, 18 years. And I serve at my church as a leader within a senior leadership team. And she said to me, Nathan, that is incredible. Like, why you're not celebrating yourself?
Like, the list is listing.
And I was like, what do you mean? And she says, when you say that, you're just saying it, but I don't feel anything with it. And I says, because I don't see that. I don't know if it's because of how I've grown up. Like, you just, especially being part of the Christian faith, sometimes it feels like, don't over, like, push yourself out there. Don't puff yourself up. Yeah. Like, stay humble. But it was my therapist that helped me to say, Nathan, just one of those things alone is a massive achievement. But you've got countless of them and a list of them, and you're just saying them like that's normal. And she really helped me to start, pause and reflect. And she actually encouraged me to start to celebrate the smallest wins. And now I've changed, and like, actually, I'm celebrating myself. Like, actually, I'm hot. Actually, I'm good. Actually, like, I'm amazing. and why I'm deserving, like the saying that you've been saying this year, I'm deserving of good things.
Can we say that?
I
I
am
am
deserving
of
of
good
good
things.
things. And I think I've really had to really embrace that,
Yeah.
like deeply internally. And I think embracing that and receiving that has helped me to just have another level of freedom where I genuinely don't care what people say. One of the things that I think was an interesting conversation that I couldn't necessarily answer the question for ages is I was having a conversation with someone at a funeral, and it was a colleague of ours, and it just came out that one of our daughters, I was just talking about one of our daughters, our second oldest, and I was talking about the school fees, man, they're a killer. And like eyes popped out his head, and he says, "What? Your daughter goes to private school and you're paying?" I said, "Yeah, but one of our daughters, like actually 3 of our children go to private school, but one of them is a particular fee-paying school." And it says the fee that we're paying is 3 times more than our next highest bill.
Yeah.
And he was blown away, and he says, "Why have you not posted on, like, people need to know that that's levels, that's amazing." I says, "No, I dare not tell anyone that. I don't, I just want to kind of
Leave it for yourself.
yeah, because like not everyone's going to be celebrating
Absolutely.
that, and I just think that not everything's everyone's business,
No.
type of thing.
Let's go use wisdom in
Yeah.
some things. So you don't share everything.
But at the same time, there was the truth of why I didn't is because of fear. Fear of being judged, fear of people having an opinion. And I think, and one of the things I want to achieve through this episode is actually haters are coming.
Anyway.
You might as well just prepare a
Might as
table.
well.
You might as well invite them, pull them up to say,
Have a seat.
Come and have front row. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because if you've got a problem with me now, watch what I'm about to do. Yeah. And I need people to like break out of that fear, break out of that limitation, break out of caring what people think, or people always going to have an opinion. And guess what? Like half of the times it's because they've got issue with them, and you just expose. As you make your light shine, it's like it expose deficiency within them. And it's not something to like beat people with, but hopefully if for those who can get encouragement, inspiration from it, get it. Those who don't and want to turn into like, the daggers and haters gonna hate and gonna say, but like I really want to try and pull out of you as well, babes, because I've been there, front seat, seeing the times when just been ignored, disrespected in networking events and different types of events, and it just making us feel like, what is the point? Like, how have you got through those valley moments? And the shade gets so shady.
When it gets dark.
Feels like you're in dark.
When it gets dark, because it has gotten dark. I think 2023, it got very dark for me. 2024, it was really dark. And if I'm very honest, that I did, there were moments where I was just like, I don't know if I even want. It's like if I want to do this, it's if I even want to do anything. Like I had played with the idea of just moving so far away from the work that I was doing, because it was just horrible. Like it just became an environment that was just not good for anybody, and not even for me, but for anyone. And you can feel yourself getting lower and lower and lower and quieter and quieter and quieter. And it seemed like as we had been exposed, I said that was a good word earlier. Once you are exposed, so you are credible, you're visible, people can see what you're doing, you're winning awards, or you're on socials, and you're invited to events, and you're hosting things, and you're talking about what you're doing. You're out there. So, but you're out there for everybody. And that was a challenge for me. I think learning to keep my mouth shut and keep focusing was something that I had to really focus in a lot on. I had to really.
So how do you do that?
I just think I leaned into my faith more than ever before. I leaned into you, definitely. And in terms of our charity, I leaned into our trustees a lot. I mean, this is why you have to have good people around you, because I have our chair of trustees and our trustees that have supported in terms of the charity leadership, the difficult, very, very difficult things I've had to withstand. But then also I've gone and I actively sought out people from other industries or other CEOs and other senior leaders that are doing way bigger things than me, way harder things, managing £1 billion budgets, speaking to Parliament and leaning into them and getting their advice and talking and sharing. And that really, really helps me. So you see random pictures of me with strange people that would look like strangers to others, but they're great friends of mine. That has helped me a lot. I also created what I'm doing now, which is Leaders Lounge, which was because I needed a safe space to not be anything. I just needed to be Sabrina, not a CEO, not a director, not an owner, not a this, not a that, not even a mom or a wife. Just be me in that space, eating food, talking with others, and also lifting up to other people. So that helped me a lot because this is not for the weak. Like, don't just think you're going to go into business and be successful and it's just going to be plain sailing. Like, people are going to be a problem or money's going to be a problem. One of the two.
What I think is amazing, and I'm really proud of you, by the way, for starting Leaders Lounge and doing the Leaders Lounge now, coaching. What I find fascinating when you're telling me about it is how, like, you're in a room with C-suite executives who are feeling the same type of pressures and pains that you have described, and actually you're not alone on that journey of feeling that no one understands, especially when you're at such a leadership position. So I just want to say I'm really, really proud of you. What have you observed within me from dealing with the shade?
Apart from the bun down everything.
I don't think I dealt with it like that, to be honest.
No, you didn't. There were moments actually, this will probably surprise people. Whereas I could be in that environment and just smile it off, you became a little bit introvert. You became very aware, and not trusting of anybody. You shut people out very quickly, and you kind of just went inward. And that's not the Nathan I know. Like, the Nathan I know is very out there, very social, but he started to say, I'm not going to none of these places. I'm not doing none of these things. I'm not being around any of these people. You kind of just locked into family and focused inward that way. And I think also because you wear your heart on your sleeve, and we talked about that in another episode, where you are just so caring and you just want to give everybody a chance, that I think your heart got trampled on quite a few times. Like, people would just be horrible to you, and I think I observed you just say, I can't do this no more. And we would actually say, we're not going to nothing else. Like, we're not doing nothing else.
But I think on reflection, I always like to use seasons as an analogy, because I do feel like there's seasons where you're in your summer and you got to be out there, and you see me shining. But just like autumn will come in the seasons, that things drop off, people drop off. And sometimes I've struggled with people dropping off because I've seen that as dishonor or disloyalty, but I've had to just accept that it's the season. And then there's winter where you have to just hibernate and just be by yourself. And that's sometimes hard because there's many events, many people doing phenomenal things out there across the UK and the West Midlands where we're based. And I know sometimes people can feel offended when you don't attend their events. And I would like to just put that record straight that a lot of the time there's nothing to do with you. It's actually a lot to do with me, where I'm at or where we're at and what we're going through. And I feel like one of the things that I wanted to achieve with the Business Truth edition is that you may see the highlight reel on social media or the amazing LinkedIn post announcement, but for every announcement, there was probably 10 or 15 no's.
Yeah.
For every smiley picture or nice highlight reel, there's been tears, there's been feeling like you want to throw in the towel, and then God's just throwing the towel right back and says, you haven't finished yet, keep going. Just wipe
your brow, blow your nose, let's go.
and keep going. And, business, and especially with us, because we're what you call, or society calls, social entrepreneurs. So it's not just about profit. There's about social impact, making a social difference, making a change. And, it's not easy, but it is worth it. Like, we have seen some phenomenal highs, but with those highs come some lows. And for me, what has really got me through those hard times is my faith. And there's a scripture that says that you are to trust in the Lord with all your heart and to lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your paths. And then another one that I've had to bolt on and hold on is around be anxious for nothing.
Be anxious for nothing.
Yeah, but with prayer and supplication, make your requests known to God.
Yep, go with
And
the
then it
list.
talks about the peace of God that surpasses all understanding through Christ Jesus, or guard your heart and mind. Sometimes your heart may feel troubled. Sometimes your mind may feel troubled. But I felt that spending that quality time with God in prayer, having personal therapy, putting a support system around myself, actually, it's not always about hustle. Sometimes you need to rest. Sometimes you need to book that spa day and have some time out. Like we have put in place our Wednesdays just to kind of like take that time out, just to like down tools and just take time out. I feel like all those things have helped, and that's why I'd encourage people who are listening that make sure you take out time for you. Because guess what? The business is always, not saying it's always going to be there, but work's always going to
But
be
some
there.
kind of work will always be there.
Yeah, but it's important that you value yourself. Is there anything that you like to say to the people?
I would, and because the question I think before when we got into it was, how would you define success, or what does success look like? And for me, success is seeing the people that we work with win, and seeing anybody win. Actually, it doesn't have to be the people that we work with.
Yeah.
That for me is what it's all about. Like, I never get gassed about the money or anything like that. Like, you probably know more than anyone that the money for me is not the game. It's not the primary goal. It's nice, but it's not the goal. I think that's what success is. It's being able to see what I do leave an impact, see change, lasting change, legacy, leaving the place better than we found it. That was our slogan. And I think also that for me, I attribute success to being able to stop, go away, and come back, and it's not burnt down. Like, that was success for me. That was something I always wanted, to know that we could go on a trip, and go on several, and we've been on many now, go away and come back, and everything is still doing what it's supposed to do. That means I've built something that doesn't require me.
The system.
The systems and the processes are in place. It doesn't require me to be there. That is success. So when you see the awards and you see the bags and the shoes and the things, they're all nice things, but success is the fact that I can do that. The fact that the people that we work with are having their lives changed and impacted, and that we're leaving them better than we found them.
Wow. So when I get Sabrina to just recount that moment, you've come out of a meeting and you've called me and you said you think that they hate you.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So as we were sharing, I was thinking about it, and I could actually see myself in the venue, and I can remember the faces and the feeling. It was this feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm in the enemy's camp. Like, I feel like I'm surrounded, even though I wasn't, and it was very much, a working environment. But I remember leaving that meeting and going into the toilet, and that's my tell. Like, if I go into the toilet and I get my phone out, and I phoned you and I said, Nathan, I think everybody hates me.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody actually hates me. And am I paranoid? Am I going crazy? But I feel like everybody hates me.
One thing that's coming back to me is the book that we're reading at the moment, Dominion
Mandate.
Not having that information has probably hindered me a lot. Because the harsh reality is, and in our sector and in different sectors, the minute we win and we get a successful contract, the harsh reality is that if 10 other organizations or companies have gone for that tender and we're the one that's been successful, it's going to cause a problem. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
So when you walk back then in those rooms where those same organizations are or companies are, but you're walking into that room as a winner, and that win is 6 figures worth of resource and income. Sometimes people just, they're manifesting it. They're just like, But I think we need to get to a place where we're unapologetic that actually, if we are active, if we are operating in your industry and in your space, that we have come to take dominion. We're not looking to just have a little bit
fighting talk.
But actually, when you look at scripture, it's about dominion.
It is.
But sometimes if we don't see it from that perspective, that God has called us to have dominion and authority, not in a bullying sense or not in but God's called us. But when you don't know that and have that revelation, you start shrinking back. letting go of territory, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
It's like, this is who God has called me to be, and it's about having that boldness, the audaciousness. Yes, stay humble, but knowing that you've been called to this type of work. So that is something that I wish I just knew
at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hindsight's a great thing, and learning and development as time goes on has helped us now to
Yeah.
understand what was happening at the time.
If you're a baker and you start to bake cakes and you have been anointed and appointed to bake, the harsh reality
Cakes.
is when you start baking, you're going to put other bakers' nose out of joint.
Yeah.
They're going to feel away because your cake is the beautiful fire cake, and then all other cake might have to come out of business. It's just how it is. Is that making sense? And what I'm saying is that, like, with this new mindset, with this new attitude,
Let's go.
I'm saying, are you ready?
Oh my God.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Oh my God.
Because no more,
Yeah.
no more. Like, I'm fed. Like, I'm ready.
No, there's no time to play small.
This-
If you're gonna do it, just do it right. It's
No,
not like
it
God
is-
sent you there. Just do it.
We're living in a society and environment, man. You have no choice.
Yeah.
But you have to rise up. You have to make it work out here. Or you're gonna be suffering. That's the
Yeah.
harsh reality.
And that's the price you pay for success.
This is what
That's
happens.
the price. It's expensive. You want it? Let's go.
Let's go.
It's gonna cost you something.
Ready?
Let's
Ready?
go.
Let's go, my G.
Okay. I felt like you just batted them up.
And it's just the truth.
No amount of shade can block what God has already ordained. It's like no palm trees, no shade, nothing can block what God has ordained.
What do you think about that?
It's facts. Because I know it's facts, because even when we try to say it's getting too hot in this kitchen, I want to come out, God locks the door so you can't leave. Then feel the heat, baby. Feel
The
it.
heat.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
In fact, get comfortable with the heat, because where you're going and what you're going to do is going to get hotter.
And you know what's beautiful and what is just so crazy, how sometimes you just don't remember what the word says, because it talks about how the fire will come to test each one's work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To purify. So if it's not made of the good stuff, it's not going to last.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happened for us on many occasions, even with success, even without it. Like the fire's come,
Yeah.
and I want to get out of this kitchen.
That's why when we was starting this episode, for me, I had to play good old Elton John. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Because that tune resonates with me so much. We're still standing, you know, babes. Don't you think that's amazing?
You know what's funny? That is people are like, Nathan singing Elton John.
Nah, man, because sometimes the words resonate. They resonate.
No, it's true. It does resonate. We are still standing.
You
Like,
got my
regardless.
G, Elton John.
My G.
Yeah, send me a check for mentioning you. Send me a check for mentioning you. Write it out to First Class Foundation.
Yeah. Yes. Please.
Thank you,
you.
Elton.
Thank you, Elton.
Yeah. So one of the things that was a game changer for me, one of the best messages that I heard at church in a long time, was actually getting focused and understanding when it's all said and done, we're not building for the likes, we're not building for the subscribers, we're not building for the comments or the applause or the awards, that we are building for the audience of one, our Lord and Savior.
Amen.
And when that realignment happened for me, it changed everything, because I don't care if you like, if you don't like, if you clap, if you don't clap, you know, as long as you don't slap, we don't have a problem. Yeah. So if you choose not to clap, that's cool. But when you get to a place when you understand that your purpose and who you are and whose you are is more important than anybody's opinion, it helps you to really stay focused and be tunnel visioned.
True.
And to be honest, one of my things that I've said, and I've really been frustrated with myself at times, you know. I've got this saying that
Go
I've been
on.
saying.
Let me hear.
That sometimes you can get lost in the sauce and forget the sauce.
You and these lyrics, man. That was
And I can reflect.
Have you got lost in the sauce?
Yeah.
And not remembered the sauce.
Yeah, I think there's sometimes when you're just getting win after win, and then people do start to applaud, you can start to believe the hype. and you can lose focus and start thinking, okay. So for instance, what people might not understand about me as a practicing born again Christian is that Monday to Friday, 5:30 ish in the morning, I wake up and spend, for years, haven't been as disciplined in recent times, but for years, Monday to Friday, spent at least an hour with God
I
in
would
prayer.
say you've been very disciplined.
And I'm still disciplined, but not in terms of the length of time.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes it doesn't make me
It's
feel
not-
like,
not-
because
not
when I
an
reflect
hour.
back, it's not an hour.
But you definitely
every
still
morning.
up at the crack of dawn.
Every morning with God, it's important, but it's not about the amount of time. But it was in that secret place. Psalms 91 talks about, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I know for a fact, without a shadow of doubt, that through that quality time with God, God gave me strategy, gave me wisdom, gave me insight and actions that I followed, and then the success came. Yeah. And then what happens is that success starts to happen. You start to build in teams, you're doing recruiting, you're up and down, you're doing all the stuff. And then that core foundation starts to wane because you're now busy. And it's like, all right, 1 minute, God, I'll soon come back. And I got some meetings, and actually
Priorities shift.
And for me, it's like, yeah, I can see. Like, you're getting lost in the source and forgetting the source. So for me, it's about switching it. It's like, I want to get lost in the source being God. Yeah. And then whatever happens. What's your thoughts?
Building for an audience of one. That's very humbling, because we're in a society where people are building for things and for people, for likes and for followers, but to take that away and say, I'm just focusing on building this for God as we are. It kind of discredits everything else. It disqualifies all other reasonings and ideas and thoughts that you have. It disqualifies you from thinking you're doing this because you're amazing. Like, it takes you out of the picture completely and puts God front and center. And so when I start to think like that, I start to think about, well, why am I building this thing? What is it for? In fact, it brings me back to last year. My theme for 2024, simplify and remember the why. Why am I doing this? Simplify, because we are doing this, here, there, everywhere. And what is it all for? When, long story short, at the end of the day, none of these people who are following, clapping or not clapping are going to be there on that day when I have to explain what I did with my time. And so it's kind of bringing things back down to earth, bringing me back down to earth and making me focus on the important things in life. And I guess for me, 2024 was that year of completely realigning and transforming the way I thought, what was important, what wasn't. And actually I was quite happy to walk away. In fact, I did walk away from things last year. I said, you know what, things were being offered and I said, no, thank you.
Yeah. You know what my theme is for this year?
What is it? No, I don't. Do you know mine?
I'm not sure if I do. You can tell me in a minute. But mine is the year of rebuilding, a Nehemiah season. And I see everything as like resetting, refocusing, and rebuilding. And I've been really looking into the book of Nehemiah and realizing that when Nehemiah went to rebuild the walls, he got the people, he gathered the people, they done the work, but in one hand they had the building tools, and in the other hand they had a weapon for defense. And when I seen those characters, Sanballat and Tobiah, and how they would accuse him or try and discourage Nehemiah, it made me realize that those are the characters that will come when you're building, but you just have to ignore them. You still got to focus on building for audience of one, because criticizers are going to come, accusers are going to come, all these things, noise is going to happen, but you have to really stay dialed in and stay focused on the vision and the mission that you've been given.
Amen.
As we're getting ready to wrap up this episode, there's a few things I want to do.
Oh, you say it with a smile, it makes me a little nervous.
Sabrina, I'm so acutely aware that there are so many people across the globe, across the world, who are working hard, really hard. I mean, they're doing amazing work. They've created amazing businesses, social entrepreneurs, doing incredible stuff, but they feel unseen. They're kind of feeling like, when's my time? When's that moment going to happen for me? And I actually wanted to speak to you for a moment, Sabrina.
Okay. I thought you was talking to me.
But more specifically,
Okay. All right.
since 2005, in terms of business, I have seen how you have had my back in many versions. And I feel like you've probably felt unseen, unheard. One of my proudest moments was when you got the opportunity to do the Social Corners podcast. Because I felt like that was the first time and the first platform that you was invited to where someone was asking you to tell your story and get, not just as Nathan's wife or the mother of 4 children, but it was really about you. And I feel that like you're about to enter a season whereby God is going to do some phenomenal things. And I really believe that like elevation is coming. It's coming for you. I really sense it. And I want to just honor you and to say thank you that you have truly been like a Proverbs 31 woman that has just been, as a wife, as a mother, I've seen you working, the way how you've led the teams, the different sizes of staff teams, when it's gone up to 14, when it's gone back down, different things. And I believe that as you step into Leaders Lounge coaching, that there's going to be something significant, because one of the things I love about you, and I know there's many people like you, you've just been doing the work in the background. You've been leading teams. You've been employing staff. I remember when you got your first tender and we used to have the banter behind the scenes and it was like, it was in competition, like sales targets. And I remember when was it 200 and how much was it about? I can't remember the exact figure.
300,000.
Yeah, sorry, 300,000. And I was like, oh gosh, I got a lot of catching up to do because you just blew me out of the water. And there was no social media post about that. That was also in one tender. Bam, you've got that success through, we thank God for it. But that was you. That was your hard work. That was your research. And you did that. And then you was able to employ probably 6 people from that successful tender. And that's not something that you've gone out there and said, oh, look at me in like securing 6 figures. But I want to just say that to you, but also to people who are listening, that like God sees you and God is preparing a table for you and He's preparing rooms for you. And it's going to be almost like a bamboo season. When a bamboo tree is growing, it does most of its growing in the dark, unseen, and then suddenly it shoots up and then people are like, wow, how's this bamboo tree gone so high so fast? I see that for you, and I see that and I sense that for many of our listeners and people that are watching this podcast, to say, be encouraged. The rooms are being prepared.
Wow. Thank you. I guess that's the right thing to say. It kind of took me off. That wasn't what we planned. That was out of nowhere. Thank you so much for the affirmation and for speaking into my life, but also speaking into a season of life that I've been in for a while. And yeah, it hasn't always been easy to be almost the person on the sidelines watching. And from the very beginning, even though I've been involved and very much involved in the work that we do, a lot of the times it has been, but Nathan, and not realizing that actually it's me over here. And, everything's for a reason and a time, and also everything's for a season and a time. So I don't hold any of that.
And there's nothing wrong. I think you should speak into that there's nothing wrong with serving in the second position, because I think everyone's trying to be first place.
Everyone's trying to be first.
And I think it's messing up.
There isn't, what people fail to understand, and I had a really good conversation about this with somebody else recently in a law firm. People see the lawyer or the barrister or the judge. They don't see the support staff. They don't see the fundraiser. They don't see the marketer, the HR. There is a load of people that enables that barrister or that judge to be where they are. Same for me, same for you. If I was always trying to scratch to be at the forefront of everything, then how would we have moved forward? There just has to be one that goes first. There has to be support behind. And when you can adequately say you can serve others with your whole heart authentically, not wanting anything back from them in return, that's when you will be elevated as a leader. Because leadership is not about a title or a position. Leadership is about service, serving first. And I'm getting really like passionate because that is the bit that people miss all the time. They chase the title, they chase the money, they chase the salary. You got to be able to serve. Even when I'm posting payroll, I post my own payroll last. Like, I don't post me first. If I'm posting payments for people, I'm making sure they get paid before me. If I'm going to look at holidays, I'm making sure they go before I do. I'm making sure that they have everything they have before I do. Why? Because they are what makes the team work. They keep this thing moving along. And if I kind of misjudge that and put myself front and center and have to be here and have to be there and have to be seen to be taking all of the credit, then what is the point in having a team? At the end of the day, anybody, and I've said this many times, anybody that comes to work with us, notice I said with us, not for us, anybody that comes to work with us has got to leave better than they came. And I don't expect anybody to stay. Why? Because when you have found by working with us that you know what you want to do with your life, I want you to go and do it.
Wow.
I don't want you to hang around. Yeah, it might be inconvenience. Yes, I might have to do recruitment and all of that. But that's what it's about. Serving is just, I don't know. It's just, yeah, anyway. But I'm proud, and I'm proud because we go together. When you win, I win. When I win, you win. Like, it's not competition. We're not in competition with each other. Yeah, we banter, and I still think I'm in the lead. But we banter about tenders and all of that. But it's not that serious. Like,
that's just in the office.
That's just fun
to keep us going.
For us, it's more than that. It's about leaving the place better than you found it. And I don't understand. And I know, we're talking about success. I know so many people who say, oh, CEO Sabrina, and I say, just call me Sabrina. Like, my name is Sabrina Dennis. It's not CEO this, director that, owner this, founder that. Like, lovely. My name is Sabrina. How can I help you?
Yeah, awesome. So thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode. The Shade Room. When people show you who they are, you better believe them. But that's not the end of the story.
No.
With God, you are able to do so many things. And with that light, that Shade Room will never last anyway.
No. Don't dim me light. Don't be afraid of success. Understand that success is part of the journey. Winning and losing is all part of the picture. You need to have the down days, you need to have the up times, and you need to learn and grow in each and every season of your life. So don't despair. Keep on going.
Yeah.